Dolores Claiborne was directed by Taylor Hackford and stars Kathy Bates in the title role and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and is based off of Stephen King's book, which was told entirely from the first person. And it's about a woman, the title character, played by Bates, who's the housemaid of a very rich and wealthy older woman who dies in the opening scene. And Claiborne is highly suspected to be the murderer. And Christopher Plummer is the detective who's trying to close this case because he has a grudge against Claiborne from a similar case many years in the past. And Leigh plays the daughter of Claiborne, who comes back to her hometown for the first time in many years and struggles with a lot of really hard things that happened to her and her mother in the past. The structure of the film is that we're thrown into the very harsh reality of these characters' present-day lives. And it's not until the end of the film that we understand how they got to that place. And we understand that by a long series of flashbacks that are interwoven pretty much seamlessly throughout this story. Dolores Claiborne is one of the more overlooked King adaptations of the 90s. It came out in 1995, right after Shawshank Redemption. It is one of Stephen King's 10 favorite adaptations of his work, and a lot of the greatness of this movie comes from Kathy Bates' powerhouse performance. She won the Oscar for Misery, but she wasn't even nominated for this movie, and after seeing a lot of her work, this is my favorite role of hers. In fact, it's Bates' favorite role that she's ever done. She is so marvelous in this movie because she doesn't feel like she's acting. She so fully embodies this character of this broken, bitter woman who has seen so much and been through so much. And I didn't look at her and see Kathy Bates, the famous actress. I just saw Dolores Claiborne. She is so magnificent in this role, and it's definitely one of the more overlooked works in her career. This is one of the rare Stephen King films that isn't about monsters, ghosts, vampires. There's nothing terribly horrific going on in this movie of a supernatural sense. It is, however, very scary in a dramatic sense. This could be considered a psychological thriller because a lot of the past sequences involve the severe trauma that David Strathairn, who plays the husband and father, inflicted on his family. He is disgusting as a human being, and he really sold that in his performance. This movie is a fantastic work just for the performances alone. You can watch this film and just look at it from an acting perspective and learn a lot. But from a directing and an editing perspective, you can learn even more. Taylor Hackford, who has since made films like Reilly, as I already said, seamlessly blended the past and the present to create something that felt true to its characters and their story. It didn't feel like direction and editing as the showcase. Like, look at all these amazing things I can do with a camera, and look at these amazing ways that I can show you the story. He never lost sight of the characters in his film, and they're always at the forefront. I'm not going to get into any spoilers in this review because over the years, this has actually become one of the least talked about Stephen King adaptations. I think it's flown under a lot of people's radars. Sure, tons have seen it, obviously, but it's never really mentioned in the same breath as other great Stephen King dramas like Shawshank or The Green Mile. Granted, that's probably because it's not as good as those films, but that doesn't mean this film should go overlooked. I was so wrapped up in the story and the characters of this film that I was very happy watching this movie, despite the very somber and depressing story. It's just nice to see a film with fully realized characters, where you can invest yourself in their lives, and the story is thrilling while having no action sequences of any kind. If you've never seen Dolores Claiborne, I would highly recommend checking it out. There is, as I know, no Blu-ray yet, and I can't wait to get one whenever it finally is released, but I did watch it on Amazon Video. It's available there in HD, so if you want to see it in its highest quality, I think that's your best bet as of now. So definitely check out this movie if you get a chance. As for flaws, I would say the last 15 minutes can start to drag a little bit. It's building to something very climactic and very powerful, and I think if they had trimmed it down and honed it down a little better, it would have had more impact. There's also some very crowd-pleasing moments that felt a little stereotypical towards the end, but it was still satisfying. I'm going to give Dolores Claiborne an A-. As always, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.